They say that lifting heavy after 40 is dangerous. Well, my friends, this is a lie. So many times, clients of ours, prospects, and people who reach out to us, they mention that my doctors have told me to not lift heavy. And so they're already scared of heavy weights. And now if we add exercises with momentum on top of it, like the swing, the clean, and the snatch, we lose these people 100%. Weight is not the issue, but there is an issue that I want to explain in this video. And after explaining the issue and what you have to watch out for, I'm going to show you 3 powerful exercises and a very simple progression for you to understand them and then immediately get started. And if you're over 40 and you want to become strong, fit, and lean without going to the gym twice as fast, download my free ebook in the first link in the description. Grüezi miteinander, Gregory von Lebe hier. I just had a great session with one of our clients. She's 60 plus. She never touched weights in her life. She has some physical ailments. She also suffers from a little bit of a depression. And she's so happy that she discovered the kettlebell. And she's happy that she's part of our team now. That she has a coach behind her who supports her. And what I love about these kinds of people is you would never think that they would ever lift heavy weights. You wouldn't even think that they would use double kettlebells. You wouldn't think that they would swing, clean, or snatch these things. And oftentimes they have ailments. For example, in her case, it's her left shoulder that wreaks havoc on our body. It's gotten way stronger, but it's still causing issues. Yet we keep training it. We keep pushing. We do jerks, we do push presses, we do snatches, we do everything that is in the book. And why? Because I know that the weight selection is not the issue. Weak muscles, weak ligaments, a weak structure, immobility, not being able to move, plus a wrong movement pattern, that's the issue. And then unfortunately we have, pardon my language, idiots online who think that exercises with momentum are dangerous and that heavy weights are dangerous. Now, I think you don't have to always go heavy because the great Ed Cohn said that people sometimes go too heavy for too long. And so the opposite end of the spectrum is people reaching out to us and say, why are you doing a deadlift with a 16 kg? Well, the answer is simple, because it's not always about lifting heavy weights. Sometimes it's just about greasing the groove and building a movement pattern and movement in general. And if you think a 16 kg isn't that hard, I challenge you to do 100 hang deadlifts with a 16 kg. And probably the next day you feel some symptoms. What are you supposed to do if you have encountered that same or a similar notion? You're probably out there in the weeds, you're looking for information, you're doing your research, and you are frustrated that people are telling you the strength training, well, you know, don't go too heavy, don't go too hard. That is true. But you can pick up a weight that challenges you to a certain extent without being scared to injure yourself. For ladies, when it comes to kettlebells, I believe it's an 8 kg, and for men, I believe it's a 12 kg. Yes, exceptions do apply to this rule, but we have seen that these numbers work well. So now you maybe belong into 2 kinds of camps. Camp number 1, over 40 or over 50, you've trained all your life, maybe you've done some CrossFit, some bodybuilding, you're running, whatever, and you're stiff. And stiff people, when they walk into a gym and they do ballistic exercises for the first time, it looks a little bit something like this. Right? Tense all the time. And a particular style of kettlebell training teaches you when to contract and when to relax, so you become like water, and so that your swing looks like this. However, you can always turn the heat up and work like this. So these types of people have to loosen up a little bit. And so for that group, using too heavy weights might be a little bit tricky because you have to learn how to relax and how to get a little bit more mobile. And then we have the other end of the spectrum. These are people who never lifted weights in their life, and they have been told all their life that they have to be careful. You can't lift stuff off the floor. And if you never learn this, for example, in our case, we have an insurance that tells people you're not supposed to lift anything beyond 5 kg. All right, so you're expected to have somebody carry your groceries because I guarantee you sometimes it might go over 5 kg or 10 pounds. So one of the basics that you have to learn, for example, is this. This is a deadlift, but you have to learn how to pick stuff up off the floor from different angles, right? Without challenging your lower back or your spine too much. Yes, the spine is able to move, but your strongest muscles are right here. And so what we have to do is we have to use some form of weight to fuse the hams, the glutes, and the lower back into one solid unit so that it can carry us through life. So let's look at some basic progressions for people who are scared of heavy weights. And let me go pick a heavier kettlebell. So this is a 40 kg right here. So how do I lift a 16 and a 40, right? That's fairly easy. Watch. All right. Watch. Did you see that? The exact same movement pattern. The only difference is the heavier weight implement. And when you go heavier, there might be a situation where your lift doesn't look perfect. Don't belong to the sacrificing everything on the altar of perfect technique crowd, because this is going to hinder your progress. Sometimes the lift might look a little bit off to a certain extent, but it's still a good lift. So how can we progress from a 16 to a 40? Well, we first have to understand how to lift a 16. So how do I progress to a solid deadlift picking stuff up? I first have to learn that I need to lift, I'm not dancing by the way, that I need to lift with my hips. So I told you the strongest muscles, hams, glutes, lower back, fusing into one solid unit of strength. So hinging, that's number one that you have to learn. And it's not always a very strong hinge or a very fierce or crisp hinge. It might just be, watch from that angle, it might just be a little bit, right? So if I lift like this, it's just a small hinge, but I'm still moving from that angle. So understanding how to do a hinge is number one. Number two, understanding how to lock your spine is number two. So we can move neck, chest, hips. And you can try this at home. Can you move this? Good. Can you move this? Good. But no, don't use your shoulders. Use the T-spine only. And now, can you do this? Yes. That's the hip. So you have three movable parts of your spine that you can fuse into one solid unit. And now the spine is locked and the hips control the body and the body reacts. And then number three, we can try. Your spine is not going to explode by lifting something up off the floor. And if you have been burned, you might have lifted stuff off the floor for ages with the wrong movement pattern. Remember when I told you it's not the weight, it's weak muscles and the wrong movement pattern. So understanding a proper movement pattern means, all right, I can lift like this. Now, if your spine gets very, very strong and you get very strong muscles, you can also do a Jefferson curl like this, where you train in a bent state, so to speak. This is advanced stuff. I wouldn't recommend it if you're just getting started, but it is possible. And you sometimes see powerlifters lifting very heavy weight with a slight bend or a slight tilt here forward in the T-spine. That's fine. So once I understand the hinge and locking the spine, I can then try to lift with both hands a weight like this. And then here's the key. The key is you do thousands and thousands of reps with that exercise. And here comes again the heavy crowd that tells you, yeah, but it's way too light. No, I have to practice the skill first and put thousands and thousands of reps as a foundation to understand, so I can do this in my sleep without even thinking. And once you can do things without even thinking, this means the skill progression now went from the brain into your spinal cord. Because first you're thinking, all right, so I have to focus, so your brain is included in the act, or then something happens, oh, that's not good, all right. And then once the brain is out of the equation, then your spinal cord takes over, which communicates with your body faster, so you can, for example, do it like me. I can talk to you and have a conversation. I can share a story. Today was an awesome day. I got up in the morning, and then I took my dogs out, right? So you see, this is when the spinal cord communicates with the body, and this is the end goal, and this requires hundreds, thousands of reps. So now from that progression, once we understand, all right, you know what? I can now deadlift to 16 fairly well. I can now try to lift a heavier implement, and now I feel, ooh. This is where we say heavy weight is a great teacher, because now you understand what it means to really crush grapes below your feet, because now a heavier implement requires your muscles to be more active. So once you understand these movement patterns, we now take it up a notch to the next level when we jump into the ballistic exercises. This is what the kettlebell is known for. We understand now the deadlift, the hinge, locking the spine. Awesome. And now how about we try to add some momentum? Adding momentum requires your stabilizer muscles, all these little muscles that you have around here in the midsection, to tighten, to get stronger, and then we make everything strong. Again, I want to reference out to what Ed Cohn said. I was so strong because I made everything strong. My goal was to make every single muscle strong. So with momentum exercises, we require our stabilizers to build up and reach a level that our strong muscles or our big muscles already have. Because we're only as strong as the weakest link in our chain. So then I can try, all right, so I understand this pattern. Now let's try a double hand swing like this. And probably your swing looks like this. Because you're handsy creatures and you move everything with your hands. And once you understand to loosen up a little bit, it looks like this. And again, here comes a crowd that says, why are you doing T-Rex arms? Now, first of all, T-Rex arms looks like this. So that's probably not the way to go, right? But letting the arms loose at the top of the swing is because it's 80% vertical force. So the kettlebell wants to travel up. So why should I extend it in front so that it pulls, the kettlebell pulls me out to my toes. Now my toes have to grab for the floor. And now you might say, yeah, but we activate more muscles. Then my answer is yes, but we are wasting energy with unnecessary effort. And I'm a big fan of moving as efficiently as possible. So if I know the kettlebell comes up, I don't have to push it forward. So never think about the swing that the kettlebell goes forward. The kettlebell always wants to go up. That's why we say crush grapes. And that's physics. If I push my body into the floor, the weight comes up. So then, once I understand to let loose a little bit, I now don't have to be scared of exercises with momentum because I've built a solid and great foundation. Now, if you want to take it up a notch and you say, all right, so that's the lower body, that's good. What can we do for the upper body? Well, we could do, for example, some push-ups. Great exercise, but many people who are getting started, they have a hard time doing push-ups. Again, the kettlebell fits well, especially for the over 40 and 50 crowd, because we can train the upper body with progression, and progression is the key. You're probably too weak. Again, it's not the push-up that's the issue. Weak muscles and probably wrong movement patterns, right? But it's always weak muscles and just weak structure in general. So how can we build up strength for that upper body to strengthen our structure so we can do a push-up? Well, how about a press? So this allows me to train my upper body muscles in a way that I can strengthen one of the most important joints in the upper body, and that is the shoulder. So many people have shoulder issues. And with kettlebells, we not only train the shoulder, but we also train these muscles that stabilize the shoulder, and that is the rotator cuff. So now I say, all right, so now I have the swing, I have the press. How can I combine these two exercises? Well, very simple. I can do a clean and a press. So then I take the swing to the next level by cleaning the kettlebell to my body, to the hips, and then pressing it overhead. And now I got myself one of the best exercises that I can do. And it's the one exercise that our regular viewers on this channel know. It's the one that I do if you hold a gun to my face telling me, Gregory, you only have to select one exercise for the rest of your life. It is the clean and press. Now we've built everything up. Great. So what is the next implement of progression? Well, maybe do longer sets. You work for longer sets of time, which, by the way, is the awesome nature of kettlebell training, because we move in time and space. We have a static position where I can rest, which means more time under tension. This is great for building muscle. If I add heavier weights, more protein breakdown, which means more protein buildup. Great to build a strong structure. It's just a beast, that little thing. And now, with this thing right here, I would be a fool to clean it and press it or jerk it overhead. Not because I can't do it, but because I have the structure, I have the strength, but I'm not warmed up. And that's my final segment of this video is, if you're over 40 and 50, you have to properly warm up. And I have a video right here that you can do. My warm up, when I compete or when I go for heavy weights, it takes me 10 to 15 minutes. My full competition warm-up takes me 25 minutes. Once you're warmed up, you should feel that you break a little bit of a sweat. You should feel that, all right, so all of a sudden I am able to go into positions that I couldn't go before because the body's now warmed up. And Dr. Yuri Verkhoshansky says more higher temperature of the body means 30 to 40% more strength. So I wouldn't jerk and press it or clean it, but I can show you a heavier swing. Like this. Because here's the beauty, again, of the kettlebell. You can use it in ways that is just unmatched by any other training modalities. Doesn't make the dumbbell, the barbell, or machines bad. I just think this thing delivers the most bang for your buck. So, wrapping up this video, here's what you have to learn. You don't have to be scared of heavy weights. You have to be scared of a weak structure and wrong movement patterns. So build up that structure with great progression and get rid of those flawed movement patterns by learning it correctly. And then on top of it, you add a solid, powerful, and systemic warm-up that prepares your body for, as I like to call it, battle. Here's the next thing that you have to do. Clean and press that like and subscribe button. Share with a friend who's also interested in kettlebells. And if you made it this far, download my free ebook in the first link in the description called the Kettlebell Code. If you're over 40, 50, or 60, you don't have a lot of time, but you still want to take care of your fitness, this is where the kettlebell comes in, and I'm going to help you how to get started with my ebook. It's 100% free. So what are you waiting for? Download it right now in the first link in the description or in the pinned comment.